Good day, viewers. Well, welcome to another episode of the UNIBEN Alumni Series. And today, our special guest is a great personality. He is a former Director of Information as Public Relations Officer of the Student Union Government of the University of Benin. Currently, is the Global President, Ready to Lead Africa. Is Godbless Otubure is here with us today. Thank you, Mr. Godbless, for joining our series for today's episode.
Carol, thank you to you and your team for putting this together and inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be associated with the brand, the UNIBEN brand, and the thousands of alums who have gone through the university, and to be called to engage on this sort of conversation. It's a rare privilege. So for me, I take it very seriously, and I want to say thank you, and I look forward to just discussing and engaging.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Godbless. Straight up, you have a Bachelor of Education in Political Science from the University of Benin. Was that your first choice of course? Was that or you're one of the thousands that found yourself in another department that was given to them, as we say, it was given to me. Yes, it was given to me.
Not my choice, but I was given.
You were given. But so which category did you fall under?
Well, I was given that. That was clearly not my first choice. If I wanted to be very honest, I had wanted to read law, and my PCME results came out 67 out of 100, and I think law was 70, if I'm correct, or so.
Okay.
No, but I think it was it 70? But I think what happened was it was so competitive that it kept on moving the cutoff mark for law.
Okay.
And thank God for the way things went. I was able to be reconsidered for admission. I initially got BSc Ed in history, which for any young person at that time was okay just to get into the university.
The university, yeah.
Most important thing is to be in the university community, for a lot of young people. So when I was doing my clearance in main auditorium and I got to the clearance officer, I realized that I didn't have literature in English. In the grade that was necessary for law or for anything that has to do with history and then the lady asked me, would you mind political science and public administration? And I was like, this is my second choice. I wanted to read law, but my goal was always to be in the political and public administrative space in life. So being offered the opportunity to now read that same course for me was an important blessing. So I accepted it and got cleared to read political science and public admin. So yes, I'm among the thousands who read political science and public admin, even though that wasn't my initial choice. But it turned out the best thing I read as a UNIBEN student. Yes, law is a fantastic course, but for me, I would say that reading political science and public admin in education was the best thing that happened to my career, which is still in use till today.
That will lead me to my second question. You're talking about what you learned from political science that is still relevant in the discharge of the several responsibilities you have today. So what are those things? What are those takeaways, if I may call, that you took from the department that you are still applying to today?
Well, for me, it is the realization that Nigeria's problems as a country is educational, political, and administration-wise. So some would say governance, but governance is simply public administration. Education is the bedrock upon which development is built. uh, politics, political science, is the uh, intrigues of how the things, how resources are administered, who gets what, when, and how a nation's unity is forged, how patriotism is designed. So for me, going for education classes, political science classes, and public administration classes in one degree exposed the real crisis that was facing the Nigerian state whilst I was in UNIBEN. So I knew what the necessary next step that Nigeria must take as a UNIBEN student. I knew we needed civil service reforms. I knew we needed educational reforms. I also knew that we had to have a political ideology upon which we would design the Nigerian state after. And all of this was because I read that course. So the takeaways that I continue to apply to my work today is that I'm now advocating for more investment in education, practical education, curriculum review. Because one of the things that I learned, especially reading education, reading, my course then, was that we were constantly questioning our professors on some of the theories that were being taught and some of the ideas that they were teaching us. I remember a very popular professor, or Dr. Edigin, who was taking up
Professor, public administration.
Public administration.
Yeah.
And remember, we're talking about the Oronsaye report, we're talking about some of these other civil service reforms. And I questioned him and said, look, sir, if some of these reports and some of these reforms that you are teaching us to carry out today were done when there were no computers, I do not think those ideologies apply to the bureaucracy of today's complex government operations. And for me, it gave birth to the concept of best practices, and not just talk about civil service reform, but talk about it in relations to modern times, right? And then also, one of the things I learned was the effect of politics on democracy. Do we want to become a liberal democracy? Do you want to become a constitutional democracy? What does politics mean? Should it mean the madness of the many for the benefit of the few? Or should it be, say the decision of who gets what, when, and how, right? Should it be the government of, by, and for the people? All of those lessons that I learned from UNIBEN is what is informing what I do today. So when I'm on TV, when I'm engaging with the US government, I'm engaging with global leaders and world leaders, when I'm addressing issues, when I'm designing a campaign, I always design it from the point of view that says democracy is the government of, by, and for the people. So people have always become part of everything I do in terms of politics. So again, like I said, in education, it's about making sure that the object is the focus of the learning, the teaching learning process, not subject. Because that was where I learned from UNIBEN. That was when I learned that the crisis of our education was that it was subject centered and not object. The object of the teaching learning process is the child. The child is the object, is the be all and end all of the teaching learning process. A child whose mind is not transformed to be able to question his or her environment has not gone through the educational process. I learned all of this from studying for a course in public admin education and political science in UNIBEN. And so, Kaka, one of the things that I would tell you is, in our time, education was about the debate, was about, ideologies. We how we would have group reading.
Yeah. Are you trying to say we don't have such arrangements these days?
So I really can't say, but the
Yeah, with your
outcome of
engagement with
yes,
educational institutions around Nigeria, around Africa, you think we don't have such conversations, such debates going on in our classrooms, in our reading groups, in our arrangements? Is there nothing like that?
I think so that's why I'm being careful not to say there is not.
Okay.
There may be, but it is not as it was when we were in school.
Okay.
And I'll explain this. This is, we left school 2010. That's when I,
Yeah.
2010 was when we graduated. That's when I graduated. I don't know maybe what year you graduated to, but if you look at it, 14 years later, I remember these things like yesterday. Why? Because for us, reading and going to school was about changing society. We didn't leave school, and the next thing we thought was to leave the country, right? We didn't leave school, and our thinking was how we're just going to make money. No, we left school with the idea that we have been taught to change the country.
Yeah.
So that is what informed what I did with the Future Leaders Academy. I have designed how Nigerian public schools should look.
Yeah, sorry to put in there. Coincidentally, that's the motto of UNIBEN: knowledge for service.
Knowledge for service.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So, for us, it was, how do we make things better? How do we make things better? Let me just digress a little bit. If you see, one of my plans at SUGPRO was to have public address systems in all the hostels, designed so that from the Porter's Lodge, when somebody is coming to look for you, the porters can announce and say, so person in so, you have a guest at the Porter's Lodge, please come walk in your guest. Or there can be an announcement to say, okay, everybody please assemble at so place. Or maybe when they want to pass an information, we say, okay, all inhabitants of Hall 3, please know that we will be fumigating the hostels at so time. Please, just disseminating information. It was because of the curriculum at that time. Even though I knew the curriculum was not the best, but we had access to things that that we saw ourselves as the reformers. What is happening today? Why I said what I said was, the proof of anything, or the proof of the presence of anything, is the outcome of those who are going through that.
Yeah.
Because if today's people or today's students are not showing the kind of enthusiasm or the kind of debate, they're not interested in talking about these issues and debating the veracity of the ideology, then you can link it to say maybe it no longer exists. What do they discuss today in groups? It's a question that you and I must now go back and find out, because you and I know that when we were in the SUG, we didn't go there to make money. We didn't sell out. We held the government to ransom. We cooperated with management when we needed to.
Yeah.
But we always spoke for the students. Always.
Let me take your mind back to an incident where you were PRO then. I was in your convoy to the Faculty of Physical Sciences. Students were asked, those who have not paid their fees were asked not to write exams.
Remember?
Yeah. You remember? Yeah, when you got in there, you said it's quite unfair to the student because now you have added charges. You have added extra charges for late payment. And also, you are depriving them not to write this exam. Now that will be automatic carryover for them. And when they decide, when they have money, not that when they decide, when they have money to pay their fees, they're going to pay additional fee because of late payment. So you are advocating for the student, they should be allowed to write the exam, when they are paying their fees, they should be meant to pay the.
Correct.
So it was a big issue there. I was
I
in your
remember.
company there. I think we had that issue at Physical Sciences. Then
Yes.
the DVC then forgotten
Correct.
his
Correct.
name.
DVC.
We're asked to come to the Vice Chancellor's office, and that is how unionism. That's why unionism was formed, to fight for the students. Do you think we still have such genuine causes being propagated by student union officials in our university these days?
So I think it is there. I think it's there, but it's largely no longer there because school managements have become overly powerful these days. And another thing you must realize that the age grade of people who get into school now are a lot younger.
Okay.
Right? A lot younger. And we are in a society where we are not in a democratic family society. Let me use that word. The family unit in Nigeria today is still undemocratic. Kids don't determine a lot of things. A large proportion of kids still get beaten, still get abused, all in the name of discipline. A large percentage of kids in Nigeria today grew up from homes where they could not question their parents. They don't question their elders. That's what they are told.
Yeah.
Now, they get into the university, they see those university officials in that same light. Only some of us who got into school, I think I was about 19, or I think it was like about 19, 18 when I got into school. But based off on the fact that we already had access to the liberation materials, we knew about June 12th, the struggle for democracy. We saw the France 98 World Cup, right? We saw the toppling, rather the dismantling of the military regime to democracy.
Democracy, yeah.
Right? And that gave us an idea of what leadership is and the ability to question. Right? So what has happened today is that you have a culture of genuine unionism, which went down over time. And then you have a younger group of students who are getting into school and are incapable of looking at DVCs, VCs, and every other person and varying with them. Another thing again was today, complexities have intensified. We now live in a globally digitized world that owning things or having access to things is more appealing than to be on the side that don't have access or owning things. Look at us. Look at what you remembered. I think if you ask me, one of the finest moments of my time at SUGPRO was that day where I told the DVCs and I told the university bossa and some of the leaders in the Senate building, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
It was, not Senate building. It was in the DVC, it was in the VC's office.
The VC's office, yes, which is not former office.
Close to, it's not the former office. They have a new one now.
They have, yes, they constructed a new one some years back, yeah.
Oh, I haven't visited in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't visited in a while, but I definitely have it in my plans. So you remember, we got there and they took all of us into that room to see that what we are doing. And I remember telling them not to write the exam and telling them to pay the fine is double jeopardy.
Yeah.
And I will not allow you to do that to the student. And when they started talking, one thing that made them to change their mind, Remember this? I don't know if you remember when I told them, if this is what you want, I will go back and tell them. But when they come for you, don't tell me I did not stop them. That was when compromise was reached. You remember, I told them, I said, you did not elect me. It was the students that elected me. And I will speak for them, sir. If you remember, the president was not there. That was
Yes.
the president there.
Yeah.
The secretary general was not there. It was myself and Bright Okwebo,
Okwebo, yeah.
deputy
And
chief whip.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
more Dion too. Yeah.
yes, I think so. We were not so many.
Yeah.
I remember we went from class to stop the exams that were already going on. And we told them that this exam has been cancelled because there are students who have been denied their fundamental human right to write exam. Today, do we have that level of pure, genuine unionism on campuses? I won't say it's not there, but it is looking like it is not there, right? Because you now have a lot of union leaders who are only doing it because they want attention or because they want to. And again, I mean, I could go into that, but again, I just think it's a rather different experience today.
Yeah, yeah. You said that moment was your finest moment as public relations officer of the SUG. Well, can we also take that as your finest moment in the University of Benin as a student, or you have other memorable and forgettable memories?
For me, my life has always been, I'm a Christian, and you know what the proverb said, that a good man hates oppression. A good man fights for those that are being oppressed. When I said that was one of my finest moments, was because I knew what it could have meant for those students if they had a carryover. That's 1 year of your life.
Yeah.
That you could have used to do other things.
Yeah.
So for me,
because I think they were in their final year.
Yeah, they were in the final year. So for me, it's like being able to just speak for them because they couldn't speak for themselves. For me, that was a very good moment for me. There are other fine moments, I think. Campaigning for the office and defeating 3 other strong contenders was also a very good. And I don't know why we don't have videos. You see, which is actually the error of Africa. Imagine those times if we caught those moments. Imagine going. You remember how we usually? I don't know if they still do it. Do they still go to sport complex for manifesto?
Yeah, I think they do that. I think they alternate between sports complex and Hall 2 car park. The last time I checked, they alternate between those 2 places here for manifesto.
Okay, so for me, it's speaking to those thousands of crowds at the sport complex. It was just amazing. Those were, and then one of the finest moments of my time in UNIBEN was also during clearance. I don't know if you were at the main auditorium on the day we were doing our matriculation, and then they asked the then PRO of the university, after we already spoke, they not said, they not told us when they were reading out all the rules, we cannot use our phones in the library. We cannot even operate it. I remember coming out and saying, I have a question. And once everybody was done, it was my turn to speak. And I said, of the greatest. Now, this is me. I've just matriculated. I haven't even started. I've not started classes, And I said, of the greatest. And the whole place just went great, and then I was like, I have carefully listened to our officials speak today, but I want to tell the officials that this time, where we know, you remember then when they used to send you recharge card and you will sell it.
You sell, yeah.
This generation, they don't know what we have to do. So I just said, this is the time where if they send you that card and then somebody throws away the card and you don't quickly sell the thing, somebody else will load it, and then, So I was like, if it is not done on time and if I cannot operate my phone and then they send me a recharge card in the library, dear school officials, if you say I should not make call in the library, I can understand. But that I cannot even text, I think it is too much a punishment because I may lose my next upkeep money if that is not done. The whole student said, yeah. They all started shouting, leader, 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 and then the PRO came and said, thank you. This is not the place for you to start your SUG campaign. To start your SUG campaign, when you are in school, you can. From that day, even the university leadership started noticing that this young man is, and then some of the older students started coming to me to say, I have to get involved in, faculty, because for me, the first year, I was not involved in anything takes at all. It was the second year that, they started telling me, people would just randomly come to me, we see you as a leader, because in class, I would organize people, even though I was not a class rep, but I would organize, and do all of that stuff. So for me, I think that was one of my finest moments, speaking for students right even before I did my test class. For me, that was good. And then, of course, helping those students avoid carryovers. And generally just being, another thing I would say was, people don't know this. That bus that the Edo State government donated to the SUG.
Okay. Okay. During Chinelu's...
Chinelo was my president.
Your president, yeah.
That bus was a conversation I started with the then governor. It wasn't even Chinelo that started that conversation. I initiated the conversation with the governor there because what happened was when the buses were to be commissioned in what's the name of this place? Ikuba Hill.
Okay, yeah.
Myself and Chinelo were invited, and somehow they invited me to speak first before Chinelo. So when I got there, I introduced myself and I said, I am not the president, but Chinelo was the president. So Chinelo came and spoke. But by that time, Taiwo Akirele.
Yeah, former chief of staff. Yeah.
Who we were calling Kalmas in he was a UNIBEN product as well. We're calling him Kalmas. Now, he was, every time I'm at the government house, they were always referring to me as the SUG leader. You understand? Until we now came to let them know that I'm just PRO, I'm not president. So a lot of them within the governor's office thought I was the SUG president there. That is why when we got to Ikuba Hill, they called me first and they didn't call Chinelo. So knowing the protocol of him, I spoke for a bit and said, please welcome my president who will conclude our statement. So when it was time to now test the buses, they now put me and Chinelo and Oshomole in the same bus. Do you understand? So Oshomole was sitting by the window, Chinelo was sitting beside him, I was sitting behind him, right? So the three of us were just talking, gisting. That's when I said, Your Excellency, we don't have a bus of our own. We thought he was just going to give us, a coastal bus or
a smaller, yeah.
I said, okay, no problem. I'll think about it. No problem. Work on it. That was how Chinelo now put his mouth and said, oh, Your Excellency, yes, to be good for us to have one for ourselves, to be able to move around. We didn't even know that he meant it. That was how one day they just called us and said, Governor has approved the bus for us. Hey, and he approved the bus for us. approved a driver that would drive it for 6 months or so, and then fuel it, and they put in diesel in it as well, before that happened. So for me, that was also one of my finest moments, speaking for students during matriculation, and then as well as speaking for students not to be denied the right to write their exams. Other things, I think also handing over. Oh, another fine moment was producing the Parrot magazine after it had not been done for many years. To just corroborate what I said, that some of us came into SUG not to make money or anything, because I proved it with the Parrot magazine. The Parrot magazine was not produced in Benin. The Parrot magazine was produced in Lagos.
Okay.
On the day we were handing over, on the day we were doing our dinner, that handover dinner that the outgoing, I was still in Lagos. I had to fly the Parrot magazine in a plane, which was my first time ever flying, because I wanted the Parrot magazine to be shared on that night. And Chinelu looked at me and said, I am proud of you. It was my final approved money that Osadolo agreed to approve for me then. Who was the great guy and not so great guy at times. He would fight us. He would just fight. I don't know why he would fight us most times. And our dean was a super guy, McDonald. Super amazing. And the boss out there was really, really nice to us to be able to get our monies out of the process. For me, that was also a fine moment to eventually produce the Parrot magazine. I don't know if they still do it.
I'm not sure about that. I don't have any information about that.
For me, it's a shame that we did things that others cannot carry on. It's not right. It's not right. For me, getting the boss for the student union, stopping exams so that others can write, speaking for students at the matriculation, and the Parrot thing.
Leading to my next question, what would you have liked to change as a student, as public relations officer? Was there any singular thing or maybe things that you would have loved to change if you had the powers then that you felt it was not right, but you didn't have the resources or the powers to change those things? What were those things while you were a student of UNIBEN?
I think for me it was communication. It was the communication channels in the university. It wasn't really fantastic. That's why I was thinking of putting the speakers in all the. For me, I felt like that was very important for us to be able to continue to inform students better and just organize people quickly. Another thing again that I felt like I would have loved to change is just this ability for lecturers to take advantage of students. For me, I felt like that was bad. I couldn't change it, but I did influence my own department to be able to get rid of our course advisor, who was becoming a menace to students' future. It was so bad that I would challenge them, because I was SUG PRO, so I had some level of power, and I would say, look, the university rule says you should not sell handouts, so you cannot tell students who don't buy handouts that they're going to fail. You can't fail them. That's wrong. I got failed, not failed. So this is what they did to me. Most people don't know this. I'm a UNIBEN scholar. I was in my first CGPA was almost 4.0, right? For my first year results. And they didn't give me my money. There's this money they give to UNIBEN scholars that they still didn't give my money till today. I don't know. I think that money was 3,000 naira. I don't know how much, but they didn't give me that money. But I was a UNIBEN scholar, and they gave me a certificate for it. So
was it 4.0 or 5.0?
No. So when they give, so I think there is a there's a group. So yeah, I think it's from 5.0 down to
4.0.
3.9. From
Okay.
3.9 to 5.0. If you are, so you
Okay.
become a university scholar at that time. So if you,
Okay.
so if you maintain that up until, so what happened was when I was in my 200, 300, always questioning these lecturers and speaking to course advisors and say, do your work. Don't allow people get carried away. Because course advisors were, making people not see their results, right? You realize that people's lives were being hampered unnecessarily, not because of their own doing, but just because of sheer lack of discipline and professionalism on the part of some of the lecturers or the course advisors. So I kept going to them and saying, you've got to do this. I kept demanding. And people will come to them and be begging. For me, I was coming and saying, if you don't do this, I would take you on, I will report you. So you know what they did to me in social science? I will write an exam rather than fail me, because they know if they fail me, I will call for my script to be marked. They will not give me a C instead of an A or a B. So I couldn't even graduate with a 3.5. So you know that my course advisor changed my results in a way that I would not have been able to graduate when I graduated. It was out of sheer abundance of respect for me as somebody who had served the university that I came back and I told my dean, the new dean, I said, look, I have my results. I know what I scored. In my present, they changed everything back to what it was. So because I had fought the course advisor so much that I told the dean of my faculty, if this guy is not removed, there will be problem. So they removed him because of me. They removed him because I said, no, I can't be an SUG PRO, have political power, and I can't effect change. So for me, that was one of the biggest crises that I want to see, that I thought I could change, but I only influenced, a few things, and I was able to. But I paid the price for it. I didn't serve in my time. As I served I left school in 2010. I didn't serve until 2012. Think about that. That's because it took time for my results to be
collated.
That's what most of the people today don't want to do. They can't pay the sacrifice of saving. Saving is sacrificial, Yes.
You talked about influence. I think that will lead me to your works with Ready to Lead Africa. I would like you to just in few minutes, because I know you're a man of many words.
I know.
Tell us about your organization, the Ready to Lead Africa organization. Yes.
Ready to Lead Africa is a development-focused NGO that leverages civic technology to solve problems in democracy, youth development, economic livelihood for young Africans, as well as public accountability and the promoting of peace. Ready to Lead Africa was the answer of a generation to the age-long question: are young people ready to lead on the African continent? And that was the answer we gave by forming the organization. And over the last 3-4 years, we have shown that young people are capable of leading. We've built mobile applications that are now on App Store and Play Store that holding government accountable. We've built technologies that give election results in real time to different people. We've observed elections across different countries in Africa. We've led massive campaigns that have changed constitutions and legislations in Nigeria. So Ready to Lead Africa is a continuous response to that age-long question. We have our headquarters in Abuja, Nigeria. We have chapters across the 36 states and some African countries. Currently now working on our artificial intelligence platform that is going to be, a game changer for the work of democracy in Africa. So, and we're also very global facing. We've been invited to speak at the United Nations headquarters. We are partners at the White House Summit for Democracy, which has also seen me become an ambassador on the Summit for Democracy, Youth Democracy cohort. I only just returned from South Korea, where I was one of the speakers at the 2024 Summit for Democracy event alongside the US Secretary of State and presidents of other countries. So Ready to Lead Africa is doing a lot of work. We observe elections. We advocate for young people to get into government. We design advocacy campaigns that change legislations that are for the best for our people. So that's what we do at Ready to Lead Africa. And there's a lot more to be done.
Yeah, I can see that there's a lot of collaborations with institutions and all that. Is there any place for tertiary institutions, for maybe University of Benin, to work something out with your organization? Is there any plan for that?
Yes, absolutely. Something we're now very serious on. So we're launching another tech initiative called Shake and Serve, and we're building this campus angle to it. And then we have another project called the Tribeless Nigeria project, which we're going to have the Tribeless Nigeria campus teams that are going to be building. So we have people from different tribes forming a team on every Nigerian campus. So there's a lot of work. But I think one of the things we can do, which I think alums like us can work on, is we need to get back to UNIBEN one of these days and just do a summit at the main auditorium or any of the halls. And let's share our knowledge and experience with the new generation. Look at some of the things we're discussing right now. It can inspire more people to go into service knowing whether they're coming to serve, right? Yeah. So that they understand that it's not just about being in office and trying to get access to government or support a political party. You know, we were not supporting any political party in our time as SUG. You know, we were very, very focused on the work that we're doing. So there's room for partnership with University of Benin. And, you know, recently I'm working with a group of young people building something for, you know, universities to be able to engage, you know, to be able to engage students online and sort of just do a lot of work. So they definitely can do a lot of things together with the University of Benin.
Thank you very much. I just have the very last question.
Okay, great.
You've traveled around the world. You are exposed to a lot of things. You have gotten certification from different institutions and all that. So where, amongst all these, where do you place UNIBEN?
UNIBEN is right there, you know, it's our UNIBEN. And I was looking at the ranking recently. I think we've gone from number 2. I think we're now number 7 or so in Nigeria.
I've not checked the recent.
Yeah, I looked at the rankings lately and I'm not really excited. We cannot be number 7. UNIBEN cannot be number 7. So I'm speaking, and you know, the current VC was she is in education. And, yes, I mean, she and I would always go at, you know, I loved the way she spoke while I was in school, and I would always engage her, even though she was not in my department. She was not in ESN. I think she was in another department in education. So, but she was well spoken, and I loved always trying to engage her. I haven't seen her since she became VC, and I think it's incumbent on me to come back to Ben and visit her and engage with her.
I think you should do that soon because our tenure expires in December this year. 5 years tenure. Yeah,
it's 5 years already?
Yes, 5 years already. 2019.
Is it only one tenure they're supposed to
Yes, a single tenure. Yes, a single tenure.
Oh, so they stopped the I thought you could...
No, they stopped that.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, for me, I know she was in the US one time. I was in the US too with you guys. I think you guys had something to do in Texas or where?
Yeah, the Alumni Association.
The Alumni Association. I wasn't in Texas. I was in Washington, DC. You know, I'm a DC man. Always in government. And there's just one last thing I would say, which to me is very painful, is the tribalization of the student union in university. Most people don't talk about it, but I will talk about it. I'll talk about it In my time, the president was from the East, the vice president was from Edo, the secretary general was from Ondo,
Yeah.
the welfare director, Pascal Njolu, was from either Delta or the East.
East.
The attorney general was from Edo. The assistant attorney general was from Delta. The PRO was from Delta. The financial secretary was from Delta. The director of social, Emeka, I think was from the East. I don't know if we had anybody from the North. But after our time in UNIBEN, there was this, it wasn't even hidden anymore. That, oh, if you're not from a Edo state, we can't clear you to run for president. I don't know if that is still true.
The recent past, because we have had Lotana. I can remember Lotana is from Anambra State. Lotana was president about 2-3 years ago. Then the other younger ones, I think we've had one from outside Edo.
Good.
Yeah. I think we have had from outside.
Then I'm happy. Then I'm happy because when we left, just right after we left that period, there was this clamor, even up until the VC. Up until the VC, that it's the school is in Edo. UNIBEN was the model for others to follow. That was why I loved the university. Everybody was there. Wanze was the Professor Wanze. I think he was from Delta or so.
Delta, yeah.
Delta, and then
Onokoraye was from
Onokoraye.
Yeah.
I think Onokoraye is Delta as well, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Then you have Oshodin, and then for me, I want UNIBEN is for me the best university ever. I wouldn't want us to spoil it with those very mundane things. Yeah. So everywhere I go, I speak about UNIBEN. I talk about UNIBEN. I love the university. I am a product of UNIBEN. UNIBEN would enable you to sharpen your mind. I don't know if they still do arrow in hall 2.
Or 3 or 2.
I don't know if they still cook some of the best beans in hall 4. I don't know if there is still the popular hall 4 law basement.
Basement, of course.
Hall 4 law basement. I don't know if there's still blessed in June 12.
June 12, yeah.
Blessed food. I don't know. I don't know if we still have Tony in June 12 complex.
June 12,
phones.
The best phones. Yeah, I remember.
We still have the that place where people live just outside Hall 3, the other side of the road. What is that place called?
JSQ.
I don't know if JSQ.
It's like you're forgetting the Ebelebo.
No. I will go there. I don't know if that love garden, if the love garden is still there.
It seems you're a constant visitor.
No. I don't know if the care guys are still care guiding. I don't know if the ever vibrant law faculty, they still have the parliamentary meeting. Do they still have the SUD parliament meeting in law?
Yes, they still do.
Is there still vibrant meetings happening during the ESCO meetings? That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to see. I want to see the greatest of the greatest Bobo. I want to see students questioning lecturers, fighting for the rights of students. I want to see students working hand in hand with the management to make sure UNIBEN remains the best. I also want to see that our physical science laboratories are now working, that they are not dead. I want to see that PLT is still functional. Oh, I will not forget RCF. I heard now that they prescribed the fellowships on campus. I don't know if that's correct.
I can't really. I think the last time I was there, when I was still in the university, the dean of students tried to make an arrangement where the Christians fellow, the body in charge of Christian. Yeah, I think they just had few fellowships on campus, because at a point we had different and too many. So it was just streamlined to just a few to be on campus then. Yeah.
Correct. But at the end of the day, I think my time in UNIBEN is the catalyst that has birthed this person today, and I'll continue to always hold the flag high. I don't think I remember our anthem. I would have done it now. That you know, on no, that's NYC, not under the sun in the purple, green stripe, something like that. You know, UNIBEN, something like that. And I really look forward to coming back to main auditorium. So let's work out something. Thank you so much for having me.
We can do something. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Godbless Otubure. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. It was interesting. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye. Yeah. Bye. That was an exciting and engaging time with the former public relations officer of the Student Union Government of the University of Benin, Mr. Godbless Otubure. Thank you for watching this episode.